As requested, here is the
Forgive
part
me for
4
what I'm about
story
to do.
of
Daniel,
He
what do you mean?
humiliated her
No,
at the
Pastor.
altar before the
Before I say
vows.
my vows,
Then the
this
best
whole
man
church
stepped
needs to
up with
hear
a
the
ring.
truth.
If you are new to this story, kindly click on the link on the comment section for the part 1, part 2, part 3 of these stories.
Daniel,
Don't
do
forget
this.
to
Yeah,
like,
this is what you came
comment
for.
where you are
You
listening
promised my
from,
father you would
subscribe
honor
to
me.
my channel,
Your father
and
should have
share your
warned you not
thought
to
about
reach
this
above your
story.
level.
Let's dive in. Vanessa saw Uncle Tunde in the video and screamed, not loudly enough to shake the house, but sharply enough to cut everybody inside it. Sarah took the phone from her before the fear could swallow her whole. The video was only 10 seconds long. Vanessa's mother sat tied to the chair, crying quietly. Chief Bernard stood behind her, with one hand resting on the chair back like he owned her fear. But Uncle Tunde was the one who made Sarah's blood turn cold. He held up a blue folder, a copy, so the one in Sarah's house was not the only one. Tunde looked into the camera and said, "Sarah, stop digging before you destroy your mother." Then the video ended. Mama Ruth covered her mouth. Daniel looked at Uncle Tunde, then quickly looked away. That small movement told Sarah everything. Daniel had known Tunde was involved, but maybe not how deeply. Sarah turned toward Tunde, who stood inside her mother's house, pretending to be family, while another version of him appeared in a kidnap video. "You came here while Vanessa's mother was being held," Sarah said slowly. Tunde adjusted his white sleeve. That video could have been made earlier. Vanessa tried to stand. "You monster." Dr. Caleb stopped her gently. "Please, sit." Vanessa broke down, not from weakness, from the terrible knowledge that her own mother's life had become a bargaining chip in a war she never meant to enter. Sarah knelt in front of her again. Vanessa looked away. "Don't be kind to me." Sarah's voice was soft. "Why?" "Because I was the woman in the car." The room went quiet. Vanessa wiped her tears angrily. "I was the one Daniel showed off while you were at the altar. I believed him. I believed every lie. I let him make me feel chosen while he was destroying you." Sarah looked at her for a long moment. Yesterday, those words would have burned. Today, they still hurt, but differently. Sarah said, "Daniel made you feel chosen because he needed you blind." Vanessa's face crumpled. Sarah continued, "He made me feel loved because he needed me trusting. He made his mother feel powerful because he needed her protection. He made everyone useful until they became inconvenient." Vanessa shook her head. "I should have known." Sarah gave a sad smile. "So should I." That was the first honest bridge between them. Not friendship. Not forgiveness wrapped in pretty words. Something more painful and more real. Two women standing on opposite sides of the same lie, finally seeing the man in the middle clearly. Sarah reached for Vanessa's hand. This time, Vanessa let her take it. "We will get your mother," Sarah said. "And we will not trade away my father's truth to do it," Vanessa whispered. "How?" Sarah looked at Dr. Caleb. "You said my father did not die the way they told me. Tell us what is in that folder." Dr. Caleb sat down slowly. His breathing was still uneven. "Your father was recovering," he said. Mama Ruth closed her eyes. Dr. Caleb continued. "He was weak, yes, but the night before he died, he told me he wanted police protection. He said Tunde had come to warn him that Patricia's family would make his death look natural if he spoke." Sarah's heart pounded. "Then what happened?" Dr. Caleb looked at Mama Ruth. "That night, Ruth came to the hospital because James sent for her. He gave her a packet of documents and told her to leave immediately." Mama Ruth whispered, "He told me not to look back." Dr. Caleb nodded. After she left, another person entered. Sarah's mouth went dry. "Who?" Dr. Caleb looked toward Uncle Tunde. "Tunde came with a nurse I did not know. I was called away to an emergency. By the time I returned, James could barely breathe." Tunde shouted, "Lies!" Dr. Caleb flinched, but kept speaking. "I wrote everything down. I tried to report it, then I was threatened, beaten, and forced to disappear. Sarah stood slowly. Daniel edged toward the door. David noticed. "Don't move." Then Sarah's phone rang. "Unknown number," she answered. Chief Bernard's voice came through, calm and amused. "You have 30 minutes now, bride. Bring the red file, the blue folder, and Vanessa. No police, no lawyer, or both mothers will suffer for your stubbornness." Sarah froze. Both mothers. She turned slowly. Mama Ruth's chair was empty. The back door was open. For one terrible second, Sarah could not understand what she was seeing. Mama Ruth's chair was empty. The back door was open. The curtain moved gently in the breeze, and the house, which had been full of voices a moment ago, became so quiet that Sarah could hear her own heartbeat. "Mummy?" Amara called. No answer. Amara ran to the hallway. "Mummy!" David rushed to the back door and stepped outside. Sarah followed, but he held up one hand. "Stay behind me." This time, Sarah did not argue, not because she wanted protection, because her legs had forgotten how to be legs. The backyard was empty, except for Mama Ruth's white handkerchief lying near the old water drum. Sarah picked it up. It was the same handkerchief Mama Ruth had carried at the wedding, the one she had pressed to her mouth when Daniel humiliated her daughter, the one soaked with a mother's helpless tears. Now it lay in the dirt. Sarah's throat closed. Amara screamed from inside the house. "She's gone." Vanessa began to cry. "No, no, no." Dr. Caleb held the wall for support. David looked at the ground, then toward the back gate. "There are tire marks outside." Sarah turned toward Uncle Tunde. He was gone. So was Daniel. The front door stood open. The flowers Daniel had brought were lying on the floor. White lilies scattered like another insult. Sarah ran back into the sitting room and grabbed her phone. The same unknown number called again. She answered without breathing. This time, it was not Chief Bernard. It was Madame Patricia. Her voice was smooth, almost gentle. "Sarah, my daughter." Sarah's grip tightened until her fingers hurt. "Where is my mother?" Madame Patricia sighed. "You see how quickly stubbornness creates pain. Yesterday, you could have walked away quietly. Today, you have involved pregnant women, old doctors, family elders, and now your poor mother." Sarah's voice shook. "If you touch her, do not threaten me," Madame Patricia snapped, and for 1 second, the gentle mask fell. Then she softened again. "I am offering you mercy." Sarah laughed once, broken and cold. "Mercy?" "Yes. Bring the red file, the blue folder, the memory card, and Vanessa to the old banquet hall behind St. Luke's Church. Come without David. Come without police. Come without phones recording. In exchange, I give you your mother and Vanessa's mother." David whispered. "Put it on speaker." Sarah did. Madame Patricia continued. "And Sarah, wear the wedding gown." Amara's eyes widened. "What?" Sarah's blood turned cold. Madame Patricia chuckled softly. "You wanted dignity in that dress. Let us see how much dignity remains when you beg for your mother in it." The call ended. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Vanessa stood, even though Dr. Caleb told her not to. "I am going." Sarah turned to her. "No, my mother is there too." "You are pregnant and in pain, and you are a daughter," Vanessa said. "So you understand." That silenced Sarah. David stepped forward. "This is a trap." Sarah looked at him. "Of course it is." "Then we do not walk into it blindly." Amara wiped her tears. "We call the police." Dr. Caleb shook his head. "If Chief Bernard still has people inside the police, that may send warning before help arrives." David looked at Sarah carefully. "Then we call the lawyer, Pastor Emmanuel, and Mama Agnes. People Patricia does not control. We make copies of everything before we go." Sarah nodded slowly. But her eyes stayed on the wedding gown. The same gown Daniel had used to shame her. The same gown she wore to stand again. Now Madame Patricia wanted to turn it into a costume of begging. Sarah picked up the white lilies from the floor and threw them into the trash. Then she looked at everyone in the room. "She wants me to come as the bride they broke," Sarah said. Her voice was quiet, but something dangerous lived inside it now. "So I will go as the daughter they failed to bury." David looked at her with fear and admiration. Vanessa touched her stomach and nodded through tears. Amara lifted the red file. Dr. Caleb lifted the blue folder, and Sarah walked into her room. When she came out 5 minutes later, the wedding gown was zipped again. Her veil was gone, her hair was pulled back, and her father's key hung around her neck on a thin chain. But before they could leave, David's phone rang. He answered. His face changed. Then he looked at Sarah. "The lawyer's office was broken into 20 minutes ago," he said, "and the copy of your father's evidence is gone." David's words landed like another door closing. "The lawyer's office was broken into 20 minutes ago," he said, "and the copy of your father's evidence is gone." For a moment, Sarah could not move. She had been standing in her mother's sitting room in the same wedding gown that had witnessed her shame, her father's key hanging from her neck, the red file and blue folder finally in their hands, and still, Daniel's family was one step ahead. Amara's face twisted with rage. How? How did they know the lawyer had copies? David did not answer immediately. That was the problem. By now, no question felt simple anymore. Every answer had a shadow. Vanessa sat down slowly, one hand on her stomach, her face pale from fear and pain. Her mother was still somewhere in Madame Patricia's hands. Mama Ruth had been taken. Dr. Caleb was shaking from exhaustion. And outside, the whole town was still watching Sarah's humiliation as if it were entertainment. Sarah took the phone from David. "Put him on speaker." David pressed the screen. A man's breath came through the line, fast and uneven. "Sarah?" the lawyer said. "Can you hear me?" "Yes," Sarah answered. "Tell me everything." The lawyer, Barrister Okonkwo, sounded like a man who had aged 10 years in one afternoon. "They came through the back window. My clerk was pushed down, but he is alive. The cabinet was opened. The envelope David gave me after the wedding is gone." Sarah closed her eyes. David cursed under his breath. Barrister Okonkwo continued quickly. "But listen to me. They did not get everything." Sarah opened her eyes. "What do you mean?" "I never keep original evidence in the first file," he said. "Your father knew what he was doing. Those documents were not only about land. They are tied to a foundation account, church property, market stalls, and political donations made through Daniel's family company." Amara frowned. "Political donations? Yes," Barrister Okonkwo said. "This is bigger than a stolen inheritance. If those papers are proven genuine, Madame Patricia's family does not only lose property, they lose their public image, business licenses, and every powerful person who has been protecting them." Sarah looked at the red file in Amara's hand. Suddenly it felt heavier, not like paper, like a weapon her father had hidden inside time. Barrister Okonkwo continued. "The old banquet hall behind St. Luke's Church, where Madame Patricia wants you to come, is not random. It is part of the disputed property." Sarah went cold. "The old banquet hall?" "Yes," he said. "It was built on land, originally purchased by your father and Daniel's father together. But after the forged transfer, Patricia's family claimed the whole place. They have used it for private meetings for years." David's face hardened. "So she is calling Sarah to the very place they stole." "Yes," the lawyer said, "and she will not be alone. She may bring elders, bloggers, and people who will pressure Sarah to surrender the evidence quietly." Sarah almost smiled, but there was no joy in it. Madame Patricia wanted a second wedding, not with flowers, with fear. She wanted Sarah dressed as a bride again, standing before people again, begging again. But this time, Sarah knew the altar was a trap before she walked to it. "What do we do?" Amara asked. Barrister Okonkwo's voice lowered. "You do not carry the original files there unless copies have been made." David looked at the documents. "We don't have enough time. Take photos of every page, the lawyer said. Send them to 3 people who are not connected to this town. Send the memory card file to me through secure mail. And Sarah? Yes? If they force you to speak publicly, do not defend yourself like a wounded bride. Speak like your father's daughter. That sentence entered Sarah quietly and stayed there. Speak like your father's daughter. She looked down at the wedding gown. Yesterday, it had been a symbol of rejection. This morning, it became a symbol of refusal. Now, as the sun began to drop outside the windows, it became something else. Evidence. She was the evidence that Daniel's family could not break everyone they touched. Sarah looked at David. Make the copies. Amara already had her phone ready. Dr. Caleb pulled a chair close and began helping them arrange the pages clearly. Vanessa, though weak, held the light steady. David photographed the red file. Amara photographed the blue folder. Sarah opened her father's memory card on David's laptop. A video file appeared. The title made her heart stop. For Sarah, If I Do Not Return Home. Sarah stared at it. David touched her shoulder gently. We don't have to watch it now. Sarah shook her head. Yes, she whispered. We do. But before David could press play, Vanessa's phone rang again. Chief Bernard's voice came through. Time is up, bride. And then he sent one final picture. Mama Ruth and Vanessa's mother were sitting side by side in the old banquet hall. Behind them stood Madame Patricia, and on the wall behind her was a banner that read, Public Reconciliation Meeting. Sarah's stomach turned. Madame Patricia was not planning to hide this. She was planning to make Sarah surrender in front of everyone. The old banquet hall behind St. Luke's Church looked like a place where old sins came to sit down. Its walls were painted cream, but age had turned them dull. The ceiling fans moved slowly, pushing warm air in circles. Plastic chairs were arranged in rows, and several people were already seated when Sarah arrived. Elders, church members, local bloggers, a few women from the wedding, and some of the same faces that had watched Daniel place the ring in her palm the day before. Sarah stepped out of David's car in her wedding gown. The murmurs started immediately, but this time she did not shrink. David stepped out beside her, but he did not walk ahead of her. He remembered what he had promised. Beside them, Vanessa walked carefully, supported by Amara. Dr. Caleb stayed close with the blue folder hidden beneath his jacket. Barrister Okonkwo was on a video call, recording everything from a distance because he said, If I cannot be there in person, let my eyes be there. When Sarah entered the hall, the room went quiet. Mama Ruth sat near the front, alive but shaken, her wrists free but her face pale. Vanessa's mother sat beside her, crying silently. 2 men stood behind them, trying to look like guards without looking like criminals. Madame Patricia stood at the center of the hall, wearing black and gold. Not mourning, strategy. Daniel stood beside her. Chief Bernard sat in a large chair near the wall, holding his walking stick like a throne. Uncle Tunde stood behind them, face calm, eyes restless. Madame Patricia smiled when Sarah entered. My daughter, she said loudly, so everyone could hear. Thank God you came. Sarah stopped in the center of the hall. Do not call me your daughter. The room stirred. Madame Patricia's smile tightened. Pain is speaking through you. We understand. No, Sarah said. Truth is. A blogger raised his phone. Another person started recording. Madame Patricia lifted her hands toward the room. Everyone here knows what happened yesterday was painful, but families must settle matters with wisdom. Sarah is hurt. Daniel is hurt. Both families have made mistakes, Amara whispered. Both. David's jaw clenched. Sarah said nothing. Madame Patricia continued. We are here to end this shame. Sarah will hand over the files taken from a private family matter. Daniel will apologize for the way he ended the ceremony. Then both sides will release a joint statement and move on. Mama Ruth tried to stand. Sarah, don't. One of the men behind her stepped closer. Sarah's eyes sharpened. David saw it too. Daniel stepped forward suddenly. Mother, he said quietly. Enough. Madame Patricia turned her head slowly. What did you say? Daniel swallowed. His face looked strange. Not brave exactly. Not innocent either. But frightened in a new way. Enough, he repeated. Chief Bernard sat up. Daniel, Madame Patricia warned. But Daniel's eyes were on Sarah. I did many things, he said, but I did not agree to take her mother. The hall went silent. Madame Patricia laughed softly. My son is emotional. Ignore him. Daniel turned to her. You told me it was only pressure. You said Mama Ruth would be kept somewhere comfortable until Sarah signed. Vanessa gasped. Sarah's heart beat once, hard. Madame Patricia's face became stone. Daniel looked around the room, finally realizing he had spoken too much. But fear had cracked him open now. And once fear entered a coward, it often dragged truth behind it. Daniel pointed at Chief Bernard. He said if Sarah kept digging, the hospital records would expose everyone. I asked what he meant. Nobody told me. Then Uncle Tunde came. Then they said Vanessa's mother had the recording. I swear, I did not know they would take her too. Vanessa's mother began to sob. Chief Bernard stood slowly. Shut your mouth, boy. Daniel's voice rose. No, I will not go to prison for all of you. There it was. Not repentance. Self-preservation. But sometimes truth does not come from courage. Sometimes it comes from panic. Madame Patricia stepped toward Daniel and slapped him so hard the room gasped. You foolish child, she hissed. Daniel held his cheek. For 1 second, he looked like a little boy trapped under the weight of the mother who had made him cruel. Sarah's voiced him carefully, and for the first time she saw it. Daniel had hurt her because he was wicked, yes, but he had also been raised by a woman who taught love as ownership, shame as discipline, and wealth as a weapon. That did not excuse him, but it explained the poison. Daniel looked at Sarah, eyes wet. I can testify, he whispered, if you protect me. Sarah almost laughed. Even his truth came with a price. Madame Patricia turned to the room quickly. You see, emotional blackmail. This is what Sarah's family does. They twist young men against their mothers. Then Sarah lifted her father's key from her neck. No, she said. Your son is not turning against you because of me. He is turning because the house you built is falling on him too. Chief Bernard raised his walking stick. You brought the files. Sarah looked at him. I brought something better. David stepped forward and connected his phone to the hall's old projector. Madame Patricia's face changed. Sarah looked at the blank wall as the video loaded. Her father's face appeared, older, sick, alive. The hall went dead silent. And then James, Sarah's father, looked into the camera and said, If Patricia is watching this, then I know she finally came for my daughter. Sarah forgot how to breathe. Her father's face filled the wall, not as a photograph, not as handwriting, moving, blinking, speaking. He sat in a hospital bed, thinner than she remembered, but his eyes were still the same, gentle, tired, wise in that painful way people become when they know time is leaving them. Mama Ruth began to cry immediately. My James, Sarah stood frozen in the center of the hall, the wedding gown around her legs, the key on her chest, the whole room behind her, but all she could see was her father. James looked into the camera. My daughter, if you are watching this, then I failed to come home and tell you myself. Sarah covered her mouth. Daniel lowered his eyes. Madame Patricia stood still, but her fingers twitched against her wrapper. James continued, Do not let them convince you that I died from weakness alone. I was sick, yes, but I was recovering. What was killing me faster than illness was betrayal. The hall was silent except for Mama Ruth's crying. I trusted Daniel's father, James said. I trusted Tunde. I welcomed Patricia into my home when her family had nothing. I watched them grow rich from what we built together, And when I asked for fairness, they called me greedy. Uncle Tunde shook his head. This is edited. David turned sharply. Say one more word, and say it loud for the recording. Tunde went quiet. James coughed in the video, then continued. The land behind St. Luke's, the market shops, the old storage building, and the banquet hall were never meant to belong to one family. They were meant to build a trust for my children and community widows. Patricia knew this. Bernard knew this. Tundi knew this. People in the hall began whispering, "Community widows." That changed everything. This was not just Sarah's inheritance. It was money and land meant to help other women too. James lifted a paper weakly in the video. I have hidden the proof because the people involved have friends in uniforms, courts, and churches. If I die, do not fight them with noise. Fight them with witnesses. Dr. Caleb stepped forward now. His voice shook, but he spoke. I am one of those witnesses, James continued on the screen. Ruth came to me the night before I died. I gave her documents to take home. She did not harm me. She saved what she could. If they ever use her name against you, Sarah, remember this. Your mother was the last loyal person who left my room. Sarah turned to Mama Ruth. Mama Ruth was shaking. Sarah's eyes filled with grief and relief at the same time. The hospital log had made her doubt her mother, but her father had known even that would be used. He had left truth for a wound that had not happened yet. The video went on. After Ruth left, Tunde came. Every eye turned toward Uncle Tunde. He stepped backward. James's voice weakened. He cried. He begged me to forgive him. Then he asked where the last copies were hidden. When I refused, he said I was choosing papers over peace. Tunde's lips trembled. James misunderstood. Then the video showed the hospital room door opening. A younger Tunde appeared in the background. The hall erupted. Dr. Caleb whispered, "That is the missing footage." On the screen, Tunde stood near James's bed, leaning close. The audio was faint, but clear enough. Tunde said, "Tell me where the documents are, and Patricia will leave Sarah alone." James answered, "If Patricia touches my daughter, the truth will outlive all of you." Sarah began to cry, not weakly, not helplessly. The tears of a daughter hearing her father defend her future with the last strength in his body. Then the video cut back to James alone. "My daughter," he said, "if Daniel ever comes close to you, ask yourself why the son of the family that stole from us suddenly loves you. Love is not love if it arrives carrying another person's hunger." Sarah closed her eyes. Every word entered, every warning, every memory, every sign she had ignored. James took a difficult breath. "And if a man stands by you when you have nothing to give him but trouble, do not rush to marry him, because he is kind. Heal first, then choose from strength, not rescue." David looked down. Sarah turned toward him. Her father had spoken to that too. The ring, the waiting, the dignity. James smiled faintly into the camera. "Sarah, forgive yourself. You were not foolish for loving. They were wicked for using it." The video ended. Nobody moved. Then Mama Ruth stood. She walked to Sarah and wrapped her arms around her. Sarah broke into her mother's chest like she had been holding up the sky alone. Madame Patricia suddenly turned toward the side exit, but Vanessa stepped in front of her. "No," Vanessa said, voice shaking but strong. "You don't get to walk out like Daniel walked out." Chief Bernard lifted his stick and shouted, "Move!" Then the front doors of the banquet hall opened. Pastor Emmanuel entered with Mama Agnes, Barrister Okonkwo, and 2 uniformed officers. Madame Patricia looked at Sarah with pure hatred. "You think this is over?" Sarah wiped her tears. "No," she said. "I think it finally started." By the time Pastor Emmanuel stepped into the banquet hall with the officers, half the room had already started recording. That was the strange justice of it. The same phones that once captured Sarah's shame were now capturing Patricia's downfall. Madame Patricia's face changed quickly. 1 second, hatred. The next, wounded dignity. She lifted her chin and faced the officers like a queen, insulted by servants. "What is this embarrassment?" she demanded. "This is a family reconciliation meeting." Barrister Okonkwo stepped forward, his suit wrinkled, his face serious. "No, madam. This is an active intimidation, abduction, and evidence tampering matter." The hall exploded. Chief Bernard shouted, "Mind your words." One officer moved toward him. "Sir, sit down." Chief Bernard looked around, expecting loyalty. But the room that once feared him was now full of cameras. Power is a funny thing. It looks tall until witnesses stand up. Mama Ruth and Vanessa's mother were brought forward. Vanessa rushed into her mother's arms, crying so hard Dr. Caleb had to steady her. Sarah held Mama Ruth tightly, breathing in the scent of her wrapper like she was a child again. "Mommy," Sarah whispered, "I thought I lost you." Mama Ruth held her face. "You did not lose me. I was praying for you." Amara cried openly now, no longer pretending to be strong. David stood a few steps away, watching Sarah reunite with her mother. He did not interrupt. He did not demand gratitude. He simply stood there, wounded cheek, tired eyes, ring still hidden in his pocket, loving her without trying to own her pain. Then one of the bloggers spoke up. "Sarah, is it true Daniel's family tried to force you to settle?" The hall went quiet. All eyes turned to Sarah. Yesterday, at the wedding, attention had crushed her. Today it waited for her. There is a difference. Sarah stepped forward. Her wedding gown brushed the floor of the old banquet hall, the same hall her father's video had just revealed as stolen ground, the same place Madame Patricia had called her to beg. Sarah looked around at the faces, some familiar, some strange, some guilty, some curious, and she began, "My name is Sarah James." Her voice trembled, but it did not break. "Yesterday, many of you saw a video of me being humiliated at the altar. You saw Daniel return a ring into my hand before the vows. You saw his family walk out. Some people laughed. Some people pitied me. Some people called me desperate." Daniel lowered his head. Sarah continued, "I will not stand here and pretend it did not hurt. It hurt. It broke something in me I did not know could break. But what happened at that altar was not just rejection. It was a plan." Madame Patricia laughed bitterly. "Here we go." Sarah turned to her. "You have spoken enough." The room went still. Sarah faced the crowd again. "My father left evidence before he died. Evidence that his land, his work, and his trust were stolen by people who later tried to marry their son into my life so they could finish what they started." The murmurs grew louder. Sarah lifted the key hanging from her neck. "This key opened the truth my father left behind. This dress carries the shame they tried to put on me. But I am standing here with both because I refuse to hide anymore." Vanessa wiped tears from her face. Dr. Caleb nodded silently. Sarah looked at Daniel. "You humiliated me because you thought my worth depended on you choosing me." Daniel could not meet her eyes. Then she looked at Madame Patricia. "You threatened me because you thought fear was stronger than truth." Madame Patricia's mouth tightened. Sarah turned to Uncle Tunde, who stood between two officers now. "And you came to my father's house as family while carrying betrayal in your hands." Tunde began crying. "Sarah, please." Sarah did not stop. To everyone watching, she said, "Record this part too. Do not only record women when they fall, record when they stand. Do not only share shame, share truth." For the first time, the room did not feel like a crowd. It felt like a witness. Barrister Okonkwo stepped beside her and announced that all evidence had been duplicated and sent to multiple legal channels. Pastor Emmanuel publicly promised that the church would cooperate in returning any stolen property connected to the trust. Chief Bernard was escorted out first. He cursed under his breath. Uncle Tunde followed, crying now, asking Mama Ruth to speak for him. She turned her face away. Then Madame Patricia was led forward. Before she passed Sarah, she leaned close and whispered, "You will still be known as the bride he left." Sarah looked at her calmly. "No," she said. "I will be known as the daughter who finished what her father started." Madame Patricia had no answer. Then Daniel, desperate and shaking, tried one last time. "Sarah," he said, "I helped you today. Tell them I helped." Sarah looked at him for a long moment. "You helped yourself," she said. "That is the only person you ever loved well." The room went silent, and Daniel finally had to stand inside the truth, without a mother, a lie, or a crowd to hide behind. 3 months later, Sarah returned to St. Luke's Church, not for a wedding, not for a funeral, for a reopening. The old banquet hall behind the church had been closed after the investigation began. Its ownership was under legal review, but the court had allowed part of the property to be used temporarily for the widow's food program her father had wanted years ago. That morning, women stood in line outside the hall, carrying baskets, babies, and tired hope. Sarah stood near the entrance in a simple white dress. Not a wedding gown, just white, clean, peaceful. Her hair was braided back neatly. Her face still carried traces of everything she had survived, but it no longer looked like pain was the only thing living there. Mama Ruth stood beside her, helping arrange bags of rice and oil. Amara moved around with a clipboard, bossing everybody like she had been born to manage chaos. Vanessa sat under a canopy, holding her newborn baby girl against her chest. She had named her Grace. When Sarah first heard the name, she cried. Vanessa's mother was there too, still recovering, but alive. She and Mama Ruth had become close in a way nobody expected. Pain had made them sisters before friendship could. Dr. Caleb had testified. Pastor Emmanuel had apologized publicly for not seeing the depth of corruption around the church property earlier. Barrister Okonkwo was still fighting the legal battle, but the stolen documents, the hospital video, and Dr. Caleb's testimony had changed everything. Chief Bernard's businesses were under investigation. Uncle Tunde had confessed to witnessing forged transfers in exchange for money, though he continued to claim he never intended for James to die. Madame Patricia had not apologized. People like her rarely did, but she no longer walked through town like a queen. Daniel tried to release one more video claiming he was also a victim of his family. Nobody cared. That was the cruelest punishment for a man who loved attention, to be ignored. Sarah watched the widows receive food in her father's name, and for the first time in years, grief did not feel like a locked room. It felt like a door opening. Then David arrived. He wore a simple navy shirt and dark trousers, not a suit. The mark on his cheek was gone, but Sarah still remembered it. She remembered everything. He stopped a few steps away from her. "Good morning, Sarah," she smiled. "Good morning, David." There was still gentleness between them, and space. The kind of space love gives when it is not trying to rush healing. For 3 months, David had stayed close without pushing. He helped with lawyers. He drove Mama Ruth to meetings. He checked on Vanessa's baby. He sat outside Sarah's house some evenings and talked about ordinary things, like rain, food, childhood, and how people can survive what they thought would finish them. But he never brought out the ring again, not once. Sarah respected him more for that. They stood together near the entrance of the hall, watching Mama Ruth laugh at something Vanessa's mother said. Sarah spoke first. "My father said something in that video." David looked at her. "Which part?" "He said I should not rush to marry a man because he is kind. That I should heal first." David nodded slowly. He was right. Sarah looked at him. "You were hurt when I closed the ring box." He smiled softly. "A little. I was not rejecting you. I know. I was choosing myself." His smile deepened, but his eyes grew wet. "I know that too." Sarah looked down at her hands. For a moment she saw them as they had been at the altar, one palm open, Daniel's ring lying inside it like shame. Then she saw David's ring box closing under her hand. Not rejection, waiting. Sarah took a breath. I am still healing, she said. David nodded. Then heal. But I do not want fear to decide everything anymore. He looked at her carefully. She reached into the small white purse at her side and pulled out the black ring box. David froze. You kept it, he whispered. Sarah smiled through tears. Mama Ruth kept it first. Then she gave it to me when I was ready to look at it without crying. David did not move. Sarah opened the box. The ring was still there, simple, quiet, patient. She looked at him. I am not saying yes today. David breathed out a small laugh, tears in his eyes. I did not ask today. I know, Sarah said, but I want you to know something. She closed the box gently and placed it in his hand. When the day comes, I do not want you to step up because I fell. I want you to stand beside me because I am standing too. David held the box like it was sacred. That is the only way I would want it, he said. Across the courtyard, Mama Ruth called, Sarah, come and take a picture before Amara fights everybody. Sarah laughed, a real laugh, small but free. She and David walked toward the women together, not as bride and groom, not yet, as two people who had seen shame, truth, fear, and courage, and still believed something gentle could grow after all of it. Sarah looked up at the sign newly placed above the hall entrance. James' Widow's Trust Hall, her father's name, restored, her mother's dignity, restored, her own voice, restored. And somewhere in David's hand, the ring still waited, not as rescue, not as pity, not as proof that she was wanted. Sarah already knew she was worthy. The ring waited for love to meet her there.